Mark, how's it going this morning?
Doing awesome. Dimitri was right on several of those, so it was good that we're both backing each other up.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really looking forward to your presentation, given the fact that I'm loving what ChatGPT. And I know ChatGPT 4 just kind of was rolled out yesterday, I believe, at least from a development standpoint. So I'm
GPT-4
curious.
was.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what you have in store for us from a real estate perspective. So I'm excited. We have about 40 minutes. So if you want to maybe speak for 30 to 35 and leave the last 5 to 10 minutes for Q&A for the audience.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, the floor is yours.
All right. Well, for those that don't know me, my name is Mark Stepp. I am the Chief Innovation Officer here at Realvolve. And a lot of my background really comes from the real estate technology that I've been doing. I've been in this industry for 32 years. I'm the co-founder of Realvolve, Dave Crumby being the original founder, and just a great guy. You guys need to get to know him. I am also the co-founder and co-author of a book called Our Best Workflow Secrets. And it's something that we kind of deep dive into a lot of the things that real estate agents need for workflows. And we're digging into the whole AI piece as well. So something to actually spend some time on. AI and GPT enthusiast, man, I've been digging in deep on a lot of these different companies that are doing things and just really enjoying it. And I do like to consider myself a prompt engineer, and we'll get into what that actually means in a few seconds. So unless you've been living under a rock, you should at least have heard about ChatGPT. Some of the things that it is doing is just incredible. The amount of time that they've gone, the least amount of time, 5 days to go to 1 million users is just incredible. So a lot of talk about it. But what I really want to concentrate on is AI systems. And the concept is it's going to be with us for a long time. Right now, there is a war going on between AI, OpenAI, Google, Meta. There's several different companies that are all working towards this AI piece, and it's just really creating a war symptom of who's going to come out winner. And it may not be just one, it may be several, and we may just have to go through and kind of pick the ones that we want to utilize within our own companies. So some of the key terms that I'm going to be using, I just want to make sure that everybody knows as I'm talking, and I do tend to talk fast. I've got a lot to cover and a lot of information to actually go through. So if I talk fast, hopefully you can get this on our replay and just kind of go at it a little bit of time, rewind as you need. One of the things that we will be talking about is a prompt. Whenever you get into ChatGPT, it's going to ask you for a prompt. That is just a conversation with the AI itself, with ChatGPT. Once you are prompted for something, you'll use natural language to actually fill in the information, and then it will give you a response. The response part is the content. It's the information that's being created based off of what prompt you give it. And the more accurate the prompt, the better the response. You're going to see that in a lot of different things that you do. As you develop your skills in creating good prompts to get good responses, you actually become that prompt engineer that I talk about. So we'll get into that. I will talk about seeding. Now, one of the things that you should know is that all of these large language models, the LLMs that they'll talk about, is built off of billions of data points. I think 1.75 in the 3.5 version of ChatGPT. With some of the newer stuff with Google, they're announcing like 560 billion or something like that. So all these different data points are good information that it's building on, but there's a lot of things that you are needing to generate or create, and it takes some additional information from you to actually hone in on exactly what you want. So we'll talk about seeding. GPT, for those that don't know, GPT is just the generative pre-trained transformer. Generative just means it's creates things like sentences and stories. The pre-trained means it already knows a lot. It's got all these data points. And then the transformer is it takes one thing and creates it into another. So based off of what it's already been trained on, all the generative stuff that's already done, it can actually transform content based off of what your needs are. Now, the one last thing that we really want to make sure that you think about hard is discernment, the ability to judge well. And while that's not a technical term, what that comes down to is the information that you receive as a response from any of these AI pieces, whether it's ChatGPT, Google, Meta, whoever, the content can be wrong. And whenever it gets it wrong, it can be confident in its wrong answer and make you think that it's right. So be very cautious whenever you're using any of this information. Now, what is ChatGPT? It's really just that artificial intelligence that you're chatting with and using it in a natural language format. So to kind of show how this happens, and I won't go live with this, didn't want to risk time and stuff, but you can go to chat.openai.com and set up your own account. And whenever you do, it'll come up to a screen similar to this, and it'll constantly be changing. There's some new things that were just announced yesterday that will cause some of this to actually change. But you'll actually type in your prompt. The prompt is the question, the statement, the information that you're wanting to give ChatGPT so that it will return back a response. Once you type that in, you press enter, and then it will return back a response. And what it's creating is content. It's creating ideas. It's creating the different things that you want, but it's all in text format right now. Within some of the newer versions that are coming, they're talking about multimodal, which will be not only text, but also voice, video, music, stuff like that. So be looking out for that. So what can ChatGPT do for me as an agent is probably the first thing that you're going to think about. Well, one of the things that agents spend a lot of time on is just creating content, coming up with ideas for content. What are all the different things that I want to do this month, this year? And ChatGPT is excellent at helping curate that information, bringing it together, creating those ideas, creating the content, thus saving you time, saving you money, and making you more efficient. What I like to do is talk about we can do our business better as a real estate agent under what I call the CORE strategies. The CORE strategies is an acronym for C.O.R.E, conversions, operations, retention, and experiences. Everything that you do from the time that you get a lead or curating that lead all the way to a signed agreement is your conversion area. Once you've got your converted client, then you go into your operations, your signed agreements, whether it's a buyer's agreement, a listing agreement, all the way to closing day. Those are all the different things that you do in between those 2 points. And then once it closes, then you go into the retention piece. So you've got your past client nurture, everything that you do until you get another new lead out of that person. You're actually retaining that person over a long period of time. And then if you wrap all 3 of those into the last element, which is called experiences, you're basically wanting to give everybody a world-class experience throughout the process. That then gives you that ability to retain those customers over a long period of time. Now, what I want to do is actually cover this in each of those different elements. How would you use ChatGPT or any other? Again, we could be using other options, whether it's Google, OpenAI, Meta. There's lots of different options there. Lead magnet ideas. This is one of the things that plagues our industry, coming up with good ideas for things for lead magnets, the content for it, creating scripts for ISAs, for your FSBOs, your for sale by owners, your follow-up calls, your prospecting. These are all different things that you can create through ChatGPT. Email and SMS nurturing templates, just emails themselves or SMS messages themselves. Home buyer and home seller webinar and seminar outlines and content. A lot of agents go through and they'll create the content for webinars and host live webinars or seminars. And all that needs content. And you can use this information from ChatGPT to create this. YouTube videos and scripts, role-playing practice. One of the amazing things with ChatGPT is you can have it act as somebody and actually go through and ask you questions. It waits for a response, and it can analyze your response and figure out, does it give, are you giving the most appropriate answer? Could you be a better agent if you knew how to answer certain questions? So certainly some things to go about there. If you were an agent, brand new industry, one of the things that many of the coaches out there talk about is figuring out a niche of some sort. What are you going to specialize in so that makes you different from all the other agents? Well, you can use ChatGPT to create a list of 100 niche ideas that I, as a real estate agent, can specialize in that would give me a unique advantage over other agents in my area. And you could even say, instead of my area, in Springfield, Missouri, or wherever you're from. And then ChatGPT comes back and says, here's a list of 100 different ideas, because you've asked for 100. It gives you 100. It goes through the process of giving you what you're asking for: luxury home, eco-friendly homes, vacation homes, all the different information, up to 100 different choices. You then can go in and decide, okay, what are those things that I want to specialize in? Pick one: luxury homes. Okay. Create a list of attention-grabbing lead magnet ideas. So not only the ideas, but make them attention-grabbing. Use your voice, use your wording so that it gives you what you really want. I want attention-grabbing lead magnet ideas for home buyers and sellers that I can include in a PDF document that would be useful for people looking for luxury homes. I've picked my luxury homes. And then boom, you press enter, it gives that information. And it starts giving you some different lead magnet ideas. Well, then you can say, well, the one that stood out to me was the ultimate guide for finding your dream luxury home. Now go in there and create the content for the PDF and title it as the ultimate guide for finding your dream luxury home. Insiders, tips, tricks, and traps, whatever you want to call it. In long form conversational text, what this does is this says, hey, I want it to be wordy. I want it to be in long form conversation text, not analytical or academic or anything like that. I want it conversational. Include home finding tips, tricks, and even traps to watch out for in the Springfield, Missouri area. You can do it very specialized and say include paragraphs, bullet points, and other things to think about. Now, you're giving it a very specific prompt to get a very specific response. And then it'll go through, you press enter, and it'll start giving you the entire content for the PDF. And I'm just showing the very beginning of these just to make it very quick and simple to show through this. But it creates all the content. You can then take that content, put it into a PDF, put that PDF onto your website. You now have a great lead magnet for luxury homes. Plus, it's very specific to your area or even a neighborhood if you wanted to identify you as the specialist in that area. What you might do is go in there and say, okay, I really want, as people start coming in, maybe I want a questionnaire of things that I would ask them if I needed to know more about them. Well, have ChatGPT create a fill-in-the-blank multiple choice questionnaire asking the potential luxury home buyers 10 key questions, including what's the most important thing to them as far as feature, location, amenities, yada, yada. It then comes in and starts creating the multiple choice and fill in the blank questions. Again, put that into a document, fill it out, and then you will be able to get that information that you want very easily. If you don't like the questions, you say, give me 10 more questions or whatever, and it'll go through and create some additional questions for you. You could go in there and say, create 10 points of interest for a PDF handout targeted towards luxury home buyers. And what you're doing there is you're wanting to specify, I want to get more detail about things that are really pertinent to a luxury home buyer, and then it'll create the 10 points. So all this is content information that you really want to be able to use. Maybe you want to, once you get that lead in, you want to help your ISAs with some scripts. You can go in there, act as a real estate agent ISA. Whenever you do act as, it comes in and says, okay, I'm specializing as a real estate agent's ISA. I now know, based off of that one piece of context, what I need to create. But it goes through and says, okay, create phone scripts, create email, create this, that, and the other thing. And it will go through and create exactly what you're wanting. I want to find luxury homes in the Springfield, Missouri area, with the main interest of the ISA to ask basic questions and emphasize the importance of setting an appointment for the luxury home team to best serve the customer. Include a comment from the ISA that they need to confirm their email and phone number. So you're telling it exactly what you want, and then what is the wording that would be best for getting that information. And it is, because it's been trained on so many different data points, it actually goes through and figures out the best wording for you to get the best results available. Once you get that client as a signed agreement of some sort, either listing agreement, buyer's agreement, now you start going through what we call the operations side of C.O.R.E. It is everything that you do from marketing of property, getting the property ready, all the different things that go through that, as far as photography and possibly inspections and stuff like that, all the way to closing day. What are the things that most agents deal with immediately? Well, property descriptions for flyers, MLS, social posts, those types of things, all the different marketing material, emails, SMS, appointment reminders and deadlines, the virtual tour scripts, the home buyer and seller communications. There's just a ton of things that happens during that process between the signing and the closing. We call operations. So what we want to do is start looking at, how can we do this? Now, earlier we talked about the word seeding, and this is an example of how you seed a prompt. Create a 3-paragraph property description in long form text that highlights the unique features of a home using the property details listed below. I'm actually seeding it with the pertinent information that I want for this particular property. Include bullet point list of highlighted information and a summary of why it would be good for this property to be looked at. Utilizing each of the property details is not necessary. However, use a proper mix of the information provided to create a narrative of a lifestyle description that can be achieved when owning this home. So you could have an entire list, a huge list of things. You're not saying use it all, just use the things that's pertinent, and then list them all out. The beautiful thing about this is you can use the same script for every property, and all you have to do is go in and change the information in the list. Okay. There's also automated ways of doing this. This is just doing it manually. So then it comes back and it says, okay, the property located at 123 Main Street, Bolivar, Missouri, is a stunning single family home that is now available for purchase and at an asking price of $450,000 with a spacious 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath. The property is perfect for a place for a family to call home. And it goes through and it lists all the information. Do you know how much time it takes for real estate agents to come up with wording like that? This is where the time savings comes in, and you can go in and create it very quickly. Now, you've got that, but maybe you've got a word limitation of some sort. Maybe your MLS requires a certain number of words or characters. You can say, give that same description in 750 words or less. Boom, it gives you a synopsis of what was a very wordy description and bring it down to 750 words or less. Maybe you need it 1,000 characters or less. Boom, it gives you the same thing. The stunning single family home in Bolivar, Missouri, 4-bedroom, 3-bath. You know, it brings it down to just the necessities. Now copy paste that into your MLS and you're good to go. Maybe you want to send out a Twitter post from that same information, but use emojis. Boom. You tell it that you want to create a Twitter post using emojis, and it comes back and it shows you that. Again, copy, paste that right in there. Time savings all over the place. Create 5 Facebook posts for the property listed above with hashtags, and then post 1, 2, 3, 4, and it goes through the entire process. These are the things that take up so much time for our agents or their assistants or whomever. And it's something that we can now, using AI, using the technology that's out there, create an abundance of time because we're saving it through a tool that can give you the results much quicker. Once you go through that process of all the closing, all the things that you do through closing, then it comes down to retention. What are the things that we do to retain our customers? The past client email nurtures, the home maintenance reminders things, the blog articles, the newsletters that we send out, home marketing updates. These are things that are being spent time on, and we can now create the content very quickly. Now, here's an example of, give me a list of past client nurture email topics. I just want the topics that I can send out that are similar to home maintenance repairs, reminders of appealed property taxes, how to prevent pipes from freezing. These are topics that I've maybe done in the past, but I don't want to use those again. I want something new, but these are the types of things I want. So you're giving ChatGPT an example. It then takes that example and says, sure, hey, here's some more topics. Market updates and news, seasonal tips and advice, home improvement ideas. It just goes through. And if none of those hit it, you hit regenerate and it'll create 10 more, whatever. So some really great content there. Give me more details on each of the topics above. Now I've got my list. Maybe I want more detail on each one of them. And it goes through and it lists more detail on each one of them very easily. Create 3 possible themes for each month of the year for retaining my home buyers and sellers over the next 3 years. So I want every month for the next 3 years, I want 3 possible topics. Give me something to choose from. And then it goes through, and typically they'll be in some theme for the month, but not always. In this case, maybe one stands out: new year, new home, ideas for upgrading your space. Okay, you highlight that and you go in there and say, okay, for January, let's go with the idea of new year, new home, ideas for upgrading your space. So you put that in there, brainstorm ideas for this topic that we can talk about in our blog. And boom, now you've got blog content. You've got all the information, and you can read through it. Now, again, use discernment. Make sure that it's the information you want to share. Make sure it's the wording that you want, and also make sure it's correct, because ChatGPT can hallucinate. It can make content sound very real, and it's not. So be very cautious of that type of stuff. Maybe you want to say, write at least 2 paragraphs for each of the items above, and goes through and actually creates even more content than what you had originally received. So you can just go in and really hone in on what you want, and you can just type in, give me more of this, give me more of that, give me less of this. If it's not quite right, use your prompting engineering skills as you go through this process. And it's really just a matter of talking to an assistant, just like you do right now. If you have an assistant, you're talking to them about different things. Be very specific on what you want. ChatGPT will create specifically what you need. So the last thing that I want to talk about in the core strategies part of this is everything has to be part of a world-class experience in order to retain those customers down the road and get good referrals down the road. So you can ask for strategies for giving world-class experience. Solve common challenges before they happen. Provide the specialized contents for families you serve. And I'm going to show an example of that. Pop-by ideas for memorable client events. These are all different things that, again, take time to think about, but you can have ChatGPT actually create it for you. So As an example, maybe you have a couple coming in and they have a family. You just happen to know they've got 2 kids. They're going to be coming with them. They couldn't get sitters, or they wanted to, they were coming in from out of town. Everybody wanted to stay together, whatever. But you want to give some world-class experience here, okay? So you go out to ChatGPT, you say, create a storybook about a family with kids. They're looking for a new home to live in. They will be touring, and I put in brackets viewings, and that's basically a variable. I'm going to use some seeding, but I'm using a variable there. It's going to be replaced by the number 4. I'm going to show them 4 homes in different neighborhoods that could have other kids. The kids go on an adventure to find a home, and they're excited, but they also find that it could be scary. And you just describe kind of what kind of story you want to create. The mission for today is to let the kids see the homes and to help the family decide which of the homes. And you give out the pertinent information about the story you want to create, the parents' names, the kids' names, their ages, the description of maybe the 4 properties you're going to go see so that they can relate to each one of them as part of the story. You press enter, and boom, it comes up with, once upon a time, there was a family of 2 kids, Jimmy and Sally, and they were looking for a new home. Their parents, John and Mary. Now you've got something that is very focused on a specific need, a niche for what you're doing. Plus, you're giving that world-class service. Take this content, throw it into a printable book format, and it's got 4, 5, 6 pages, and they can just go through and read it and give them something to do on the way there. And then also at the very end, it goes through and gives them reminders of each of the different properties that they saw. The ultimate piece, though, is at the bottom. After visiting all the homes, the family sat down to discuss options. Each home had its own unique features and benefits, and they had a hard time deciding which one to choose, but they were excited about the possibilities and the new friends that they could meet in any of the neighborhoods. In the end, they decided to go with something that take some time to think about it and revisit the top choices. They knew that no matter which home they chose, they would be embracing a new adventure together as a family. You're bringing the family together, and the new adventure comes with new opportunities and making friends and creating memories that will last for a lifetime. If you were to get something like this from your agent, what would you think? That's the thing that we want to talk about in creating those experiences. And ChatGPT gives us that ability to do that. Create a real estate agent pop-by list for each year of the month, or each month of the year. In this case, you're basically saying, hey, I want to create some pop-by ideas. Give me some ideas, or whatever. So going through and creating pop ideas. Maybe you want to create the content for a calendar and say, I want to get this information for all the different things that I want in a calendar, and go through and create a monthly calendar to give out to each of my customers for a pop-by. Very easy, very quick. Give me ideas for a past client event for my real estate business. Make it fun and memorable. And then boom, again, wine and paint night. Host an evening of painting and wine tasting at a local art studio or at your office. Clients can socialize, unwind, create a painting to take home as a memento of the event. These are things that take time. We're now saving it through ChatGPT. I bring things together and say, okay, there are lots of companies out there that are doing this. So whether you choose ChatGPT or whatever, it doesn't matter. ChatGPT right now is probably the most creative and most talked about version, but there's lots other. As of today, there's like 35 different AI texting companies that do this. There's lots of other companies that do lots of other, not just text, but graphics and video and lots of others. 35 texting only pieces. Okay, that's incredible. One of the things that just happened yesterday was ChatGPT 4 was released. The with 4, basically, and it's only on limited release. Certain people get access to it right now, but it does have a higher cost, but it does advanced reasoning, advanced understanding. It does a lot more computing. Because of that, it's also more expensive. If you use the ChatGPT or the GPT 3.5, it's like 0.002 cents per 1,000 tokens, and which is just a fraction of a penny, for 1,000, which is about 750 words. With ChatGPT 4 or GPT-4, it's actually like 3 cents to 6 cents per 1,000, and so you can, rack up a bill if you're not careful by going to the more advanced, but typically you don't need that advanced. You would need that if you're really needing to do some very high analytical type stuff. It understands better. It has a conciseness that's much higher, reasoning that's much higher, but the speed is slower. So some things to think about. Just on the heels, actually, it was on the same day, Google announced a very similar type of thing. They're incorporating AI in many of their products. The Microsoft Word is going to be doing the same thing. In this case, Google has in their Google Docs, they're creating a little piece where you can type in, I want to create a document. It'll actually help you, and it'll go through, give you the idea box. You type in your idea, and then you just hit enter, and then it goes through and it generates the content for you. Stuff for spreadsheets, stuff for slides. Have it create all your slides for you automatically. These are the things that AI is going to do for us. Not to be outdone, we, Realvolve, have also created the information inside of our products, both Realvolve and Firepoint, to be able to utilize AI as well. So as an example, whenever you go into our template editor, you can click on the little AI logo. It'll go through and it'll pop up information where you can type in your prompt. You click on generate, give the response. You can then utilize that information to be able to create into your own content. Okay. So as an example, if you are a Realvolve user and you've got our newsletter, inside the newsletter, we create a newsletter for you. Maybe the wording in that newsletter is not quite the way you want it. Maybe it's just a little off for the way you talk or the way you want to represent your brand. So you could highlight that information, simply go in and say, okay, I want you to rewrite this message. And we have a little checkbox in the upper right to include the message, the message that was selected. Rewrite this message in the words of a leprechaun. And it comes back and says, top of the morning to you, and goes through and creates the entire thing. You click on OK, and it inserts that right in there. So now you've taken a stock letter and personalized it more to what your needs are. Something incredible that gives you that capability to transform what you do every day. Maybe you want to use it within SMS. We've also included the SMS capability. So you can take a message that's already there, click on the button. Maybe you want to check the sentiment of that message. On a scale of 0 to 100, 0 being very negative, 100 being very positive, what is the sentiment score of this message? How positive is it? And the message that already exists is a sentiment score of 80. Well, maybe I want to rewrite that message and have it a score above 90, and don't include the score. I underline that because whenever I ran this the first time, it did include the score. I didn't really want to include the score because I want to paste it right in. You can just go in there and wipe it out. I just typed it in that way. It rewrites your message and creates the sentiment above a 90. In this case, it's a 95. So it reworded it in a much more positive way, and then being able to just hit OK, and it inserts it right into the message. How easy is that? Now you can go through your entire library of all your messages, some that you created, make sure that the wording is correctly done, and also go through those stock messages that you may get from your existing software provider that isn't in your wording. Maybe it's not the way you talk, and you go through and you create it in a different format. Maybe you want to go in there and you want to create a specialized birthday message for somebody, and you go in and you give some basic information, and it goes through and it creates the birthday message. So you've got lots of capabilities for creating content. Because it's an SMS, it knows it needs to be a little shorter, so it creates it shorter. But maybe you want it even shorter. Say, bring it down to 160 characters. So it makes it even shorter. Okay. Maybe this person talks Spanish and you don't, and you want to send the birthday message in Spanish. Have the AI translate it into whatever language that you want in this case. And I don't speak Spanish, so I hope this is correct. But this is just an easy way to very quickly create good content for what we're doing here. So the question, and Dimitri kind of said this, on one of the webinars that he did, was, will AI replace people in whatever industry? In this case, will AI replace real estate agents? Absolutely not. That is not even the right question. The actual real question is, will you embrace AI? The real estate agents, the real estate professionals that embrace and use AI, no matter whether it's ChatGPT, if it's Microsoft, if it's Google, if it's Meta, or any of the other 35 other different companies that are out there. If you embrace it, you will replace those that don't. If you don't, you will be replaced. So that's really what I wanted to talk about. If you have additional questions, you can reach me, Mark, at realvolve.com. The prompts that I showed in this presentation, I also put together in our workflowsecrets.info. There's a website that I've got that has a link for prompts. All the prompts have been spelled out, so you can go there and get the information on that. You can reach me also on LinkedIn. And realistically, the thing that I hope more than anything is that you know more now about ChatGPT than when you started 40 minutes ago. So how am I doing on time? I think I just about hit it, didn't I?
Mark, yeah, we got right on time. We got about 2 minutes to go, but thank you so much. That was super insightful. Specifically on the prompt session, that's something that it took me a while to understand from ChatGPT. And, for those who are not that technical, like a prompt's kind of like a command, right?
Yep.
Per se. So yeah, I mean, and that's awesome that you provided those. I was gonna say you can probably Google some real estate prompts out there. I mean, I know people are just dropping out just PDF files with a bunch of prompts. I just downloaded one that had 350. So really unique opportunity, like you said, in my opinion. So we're gonna leave the floor open. We'll give you, the audience 1 or 2 minutes to see if they have any questions. I have a few questions for you, if you don't mind, while we wait for the questions to come in.
Absolutely.
So first question, where, I know you mentioned that they can email you, but where else can they connect with you? Are you Twitter or LinkedIn? What's your platform of choice?
I will do LinkedIn. I will do Twitter. We have Realvolve. Whenever you go to Realvolve, you can go. There's a whole Realvolve website for or Facebook community that's there. We do have Workflow Secrets as well, which is an option for getting information about workflows and how those actually work. The thing that I want to caution a lot of people, especially agents that are using this, you brought up the prompts that you downloaded for 350. You can use ChatGPT to create prompts. And probably what they did is they went in there and said, okay, give me prompts for this. The problem with that is many times they're not engineered as well. They're very generic, and you can, while they are, good examples, you may not want to use them word for word. And in fact, one thing that you really need to be cautious of is whenever you're creating content for a property description, some of those YouTubers out there will say, okay, all you need to do is say, give me a property description on this property at this URL. Okay. ChatGPT doesn't know about the internet, not in its inherent format. There are some tools, some add-ons that you can get on there to get some additional information, but it doesn't read straight from the URL. So whenever you're getting that information, it may not be accurate. So you've got to be very cautious. Your best bet is to highlight, copy the content off of any website that you want, paste it right in, and make sure that the seeded information is exactly what you want.
Yeah, no, I've definitely run into that issue a few times. I have a Chrome extension called, I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but it's AIPRM.
Yes.
And basically it's a database of like prompt. I mean, like that's the first thing I do when I wake up. I'm on there just to like, I'm like a very curious person. So I'm just trying to understand. It's so interesting. I mean, like you said, the one thing that I don't think ChatGPT can replace from a human perspective is like humanizing it, right? Because it's still like a machine. It's still a robot. So you're having to make it more human still, because it doesn't have a heart or empathy.
The neat thing about AI PRM, and right now, right now it's free as far as I know. They will probably monetize that very quickly. There's thousands of prompts out there. A lot of them are less than quality, but there are some really good ones in there. And spend some time in there, you can see how they're done. The neat thing about that particular one is whenever you use one, you can actually refresh your ChatGPT screen and you can see what the prompt was that was actually sent, that actually gives you better quality. So you can actually learn from the prompt itself. So it's a great resource.
Definitely, and I just saw a few questions come in. So let's see. The first one looks like from Cody. What is the best place to start on the path to adding AI to your real estate business and perhaps email copy leads like you showed?
Yeah, a lot of things that that are out there. It's a matter of learning, and there's lots of YouTube videos and stuff like that. Definitely, check those out. If you go to Workflow Secrets, there is training available, and we have like an hour and a half training video that's out there that you can use. Get some of this content as well, and definitely take a look at it. Workflowsecrets.info.
Definitely, and obviously, reach out to Mark if you have any questions. I think it's just one of those things. At least for me, I don't know about you, Mark, but it was just like trial and error, right? I mean, like I understood the concept, but I remember the first time, I'll share a story real quickly. The first time my cousin calls me it was back in November. It was like 6 or 7 days after ChatGPT first came out, early November. And he's like, "You're not going to believe this. I just wrote my 11-page paper in like 5 minutes." I'm like, "What? Like, you're crazy." And long story short, he got to the point where he was like, he showed it to me. I'm like, "Hold on, do that again." And because the beautiful part about this is that you're able to create, you generate a prompt and it gives you a response, and then you're like, "Oh, I don't like that. Regenerate it again," and it gives you a completely different one.
Yeah, that's
different content.
That is the beauty of the generative part and the transforming part, because it has all this content. All you have to do is say, give it to me again, and no matter if I ask the exact same question that you ask, we will get different answers because it's generating it. It's not just pulling it from some stored area. It's actually generating it at that moment. And you'll see some similarities at time, but it definitely is going to be different.
Yeah, I agree. And I heard, and correct me if I'm wrong. So I heard that with ChatGPT 4, you're now able to utilize video and audio as well.
Correct. So it is multimodal, which basically means I want to take a picture, take that picture and put it into, some piece of ChatGPT, and it's not available yet for everybody, but you put it in there and say, describe this photo, and it'll go through the process of describing it. The one example that they used yesterday, which was brilliant, was he wanted to create a website, And inside this website, he just hand drawn in a notebook this kind of layout of what he wanted this website to look like. 2 buttons, a couple questions, you press a button, it gives you an answer type thing. And the prompt was, take this photo. He took a picture of the photo and reword, take the wording of that and put that in as a prompt to generate a website from this picture. And within just a matter of seconds, it created the PHP or JavaScript code, copied, pasted in there, and boom, it was there. I mean, he did it live in just a matter of seconds to create some very good content. And it was amazing. Wow. Now, you know, as a developer, as an engineer myself, you know, being able to utilize and mock up information is crazy.
Yeah, I agree. Especially, I mean, I'm a very analytical person myself, and I saw some like crazy statistics. Like, so when they tested the ChatGPT 4 on like all the like the bar exam and stuff like that, like with the bar exam, it finished in like the 92nd percentile. Everything else, it like crushed it. So that's really interesting. The one thing that really caught my attention, and I don't know how true this is, I just like saw it on Twitter, posted by multiple people that are quote unquote AI prompt engineers. They said, one of them said that the main difference is that ChatGPT 4 is 10 million times faster, which, you know, I don't know what that looks like or if that's even true, but if that's the case, what, you know, what does that mean?
You have to discern what you're hearing from a lot of these people. It is faster on some basic stuff, but it is, in my comparison, real quick, it was actually much slower, and it costs a lot more. So, you know, use the one that's best for the purpose that you're needing it for.
Absolutely.
If it's something you're doing that's very analytical, very specific math, ChatGPT is, at least 3.5 is very bad at math. 4.0 is supposed to be much better. So take it that.
Awesome. Well, Mark, thank you so much for your time. It looks like our next speaker just came in. So I'm going to let you go. Is there any last parting words you'd like to leave our audience with, or, you know, what's your one piece of advice for 2023?
Yeah, definitely. Especially for the real estate agents, you know, you need to embrace AI. Definitely. If you don't have a CRM, check us out, realvolve.com, Firepoint. We have some great software for agents to be able to utilize in their business, and we're using the AI inside the systems right now. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Mark. I really appreciate your time and your insight. You know, I look forward to connecting with you offline. So I hope you have a great day.
Awesome. Nice talking to you.